show. We have an absolutely jam-packed show today, a ton of news to go through. I'm your host, Professor Chris, and with me, I got our Sleeper Wire Prophet, Hussein. What's up, man?
What is up?
Hey, and Dirty Jobs Mike. What's going on?
Not too bad, man. How we doing?
Doing great. It's been an awesome couple days.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on, man. It's just been hectic. I mean, all this stuff was started happening about 2 days before the actual time that it could happen, so it was pretty neat.
Yeah, I was thinking like the day before free agency starts and the day of free agency. This time of year is just as exciting as your fantasy football draft day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's so much news. I mean, this makes you just want to play right now, draft right now, and just wish that there was some other league out there, even like a CFL league that we could just play just to get the jitters out. I don't know.
Fantasy baseball, man.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
No, it's totally different. It's way harder.
Yeah, way difficult. Yeah.
Well, like I said, the last 2 days have been crazy for fantasy, and we have a ton of stuff to cover, a ton of players to cover, so we don't have any additional segments on this show. We have so much to talk about. So let's go ahead and kick it off with the news, the free agency edition. All right, so we're going to kick this off by making the free agent pool larger than it was yesterday by talking about some of these guys who were recently released, and the biggest name, obviously, is Jordy Nelson. Oh. Now, Mike and Hus, I was actually listening to the show that you guys did last weekend, right? And you were talking about Jordy Nelson with Aaron Rodgers is guaranteed top 5 wide receiver every single year. So, Hus, what do you think now about that?
Well, I mean, Jordy's not going to be with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's crazy. 1 week later, here we are talking about Jordy Nelson being released from the Packers. I'd love to see him possibly, on maybe the Niners or, even on the Panthers. The Panthers don't really have anything. It's tough to predict him being a number one receiver in a new offense. I don't really like doing that anyway. So if I had to take a guess right now, I'd probably put him, number 2, far in.
Now, he did have a couple visits set up already, right? The Raiders were one of them.
Yep.
Which is good for him. Is there anywhere that you want, anywhere you think that he could go where he would still be top 10, Mike?
With Case Keenum going to Denver, I think that would be a really, really good landing spot. There, you got some age there in Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. I think Jordy Nelson still has quite a bit in the tank, actually, and I think he'll actually come out of this with a little something to prove. I mean, it's all just money, it's all business, right? So, I mean, it's not like they released him because they didn't want to keep him. They just couldn't logistically keep him, and I really feel like he's going to be okay. And I'm with you, Hus. I think he'll be a medium, mid-end, low-end wide receiver 2 next year.
Next big name, Adrian Peterson, released by the Cardinals. This one's not really a surprise. Right. It was reported a couple of weeks ago that this was going to happen. He still wants to play. There's going to be teams that are going to give him a shot. Owners are going to want him because he's going to put butts in the seats. He's going to sell tickets. But as far as fantasy goes, I mean, nothing really much there.
Not much.
Nope. Another guy who I was actually super disappointed in this year, especially because being so high on him last year, Jerry Maclin got released from the Ravens, as did Danny Woodhead. So that Kenneth Dixon love seems like it's still hanging around. The Seahawks did not tender Thomas Rawls or Mike Davis, so they are free agents now. So good for Mike Davis, I guess, trying to get out of that timeshare. Thomas Rawls, he's going to be a backup, right? If he gets signed.
Yeah, sure, somewhere.
He'll be like a Cowboy or something like that in third string, second string.
Yeah, I could totally see it. Then the last couple, not really huge names. One guy who the fantasy community hates because he drops everything, Eric Ebron, released by the Lions. I really couldn't think of a team I would want to see him on because you can't really ask for a much better quarterback than Matthew Stafford is. I mean, he's great. So it's not like going somewhere else is really going to turn Ebron into this stud, right?
Right. I mean, Stafford liked to throw the ball to him. He just dropped it all the time. So, I mean, it's not like he wasn't utilized there either. So, yeah, I mean, wherever he lands, I'm probably going to still have the same attitude.
Yeah, maybe the Ravens. I don't know. Did the Ravens get a tight end yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so maybe the Ravens.
Maybe, but they can also look at the next 2 guys who were released, Julius Thomas and Brent Selleck. Neither one really fantasy relevant, but
right.
some big names. But you guys ready to get into the actual trades and the signings?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Kicking this off, the biggest name everybody's been talking about all of free agency. Where is Kirk Cousins going to go? Well, Minnesota Vikings, a 3-year, $84 million deal. So good for him for getting paid.
Yeah. I got that moolah. Man.
Yeah. Well deserved, and he's going to have a heck of a different skill set going into that with Dalvin Cook in the backfield, Diggs and Thielen if they remain. I mean, that's going to be – and Kyle Rudolph, he's going to really be something to watch, and Kyle Rudolph is up my list right now because Kirk Cousins loves that tight end.
Next big name, Sammy Watkins, now with the Kansas City Chiefs after signing a deal worth about $16 million per year for 3 years. Him getting paid as well. And I really like Sammy Watkins, as Mike knows. We've talked about, really disagreed about Sammy Watkins plenty of times on the show. But the Kansas City Chiefs are now going to have the fastest wide receiver duo in the NFL. And that's pretty awesome.
Explosive.
You put that behind with Mahomes' arm that he's got, Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce.
Dynasty lovers should really love this one right here.
Yep, I agree. Mike, are you more excited about Watkins now than you were?
I think so, yeah. I mean, just because of that dynamic right there. And I mean, yeah, it's with that kind of speed, it's going to be really tough to cover both of those guys. So, yeah, sign me up. I'm actually on board. I think that's actually the perfect fit for Sammy Watkins.
Well, yeah, and even if you do cover both of those guys, you have to have, double team. That leaves Kelce and Hunt completely wide open.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's a dangerous team as long as Mahomes can get out there and do some damage.
Yeah, it's definitely a wait-and-see approach, with this offense. So, it's a lot of potential right here. It's going to be exciting, and we're just going to have to wait and see if these all these fantasy pieces pan out the same way. So, it's kind of like a whole different look right now. So, with the Watkins, they never really had an explosive guy like him. So, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what they have.
Tyreek Hill.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Tyreek Hill is kind of like a whole different, receiver than him. So
true. You just said never a guy as explosive, and I was okay. I got you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about that. Where would you take Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill next year? Just let's say 12-team PPR. What round?
Man, I bet you can get away with Sammy Watkins about the 8th or 9th. I mean, I just don't think you're going to have a lot of people that are going to get grabbed before him. I think Tyreek Hill, you're probably looking at late 2nd, early 3rd.
Yeah, I would say both are going to go
third.
before the 5th.
I would say 3rd, and I would say maybe about probably about 5th for Watkins.
Yeah, I think both will go in the first 5 rounds.
Yep.
Moving on, a huge piece of news. This is really going to hurt the heart of Derrick Henry owners if they haven't heard the news already. This is like if you're at the plate, bottom of the 9th with 2 outs, and you hit a game-winning home run, or what's going to be a game-winning home run, and you're all excited, and then it gets caught right at the fence. That's exactly what Dion Lewis did to Derrick Henry owners by signing a 4-year, $20 million contract with the Tennessee Titans.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, best case scenario probably is he lost 3rd down and passing downs. But there's a good chance Derrick Henry might have lost the starting role in that offense.
Well, yeah. I think they're still going to do what they were doing last year, kind of splitting, and it's just going to just be another mess. You're not going to want to start any guy at this point, probably Dion Lewis in the PPR more.
I'm going to call it right now. I actually posted this on Twitter when this news came out. Dion Lewis is going to have more fantasy points than Derrick Henry in any format.
Yep,
I could see it. I could see it.
I think they're going to try to stick to the, Henry on 1st and 2nd down, Lewis on 3rd downs, but they're going to realize Lewis is just so talented. He's an overall better player, just overall, not just, strength. But he's a good runner. He's great out of the passing game.
Yeah, and he's not old. I don't know why, but, if anything, I think the guy's kind of maybe like in his prime right now, and
right.
He's ripe, and if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to definitely be a really nice piece in that offense.
Right, and you don't sign a running back to a 4-year deal to have him be a backup.
No, not at all.
No. Yeah, so I think Lewis is going to be – you'd be able to draft him later than Derrick Henry.
Oh, way later.
I think he's going to score. I think he's going to finish higher in every single scoring format.
I said, yeah, that guy's on my sleeper list. I really like him. I think he's going to be late round value that you can pick up.
Well, maybe by the time August comes around, we will have talked him up and Derrick Henry down enough for that to not be true. Moving into some Denver Broncos news here. Case Keenum signing with the Broncos. I heard approximately $18 to $20 million. Mike, have you heard any update on that?
I have not. That's actually what I had heard, and man, I'm excited. I'm pumped. I think Case Keenum as a Bronco will be great.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was just so great in that offense last year as a Viking. So, I mean, this is going to be a really nice opportunity for him to just kind of go out there and show that he's still made of the same stuff, show that he's not a fluke. And this is great for Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders as well, I believe.
100% agree. Demaryius Thomas back to being a wide receiver 1 for me.
Yep.
Awesome.
And that's going to make that defense legitimate again, too. Like, the Denver defense is going to fall way down next year, so be ready for that, because they were only bad because the quarterback was so bad. Pop the champagne, Broncos fans. We got Case.
Yeah, and Thomas still ended up number 16 in PPR leagues. So
he did pretty good.
So it wasn't really the way you liked it, but he still performed, and as a flex, you weren't too upset at it.
Mike, did you think last year you would ever catch yourself saying, "Pop the champagne, Broncos fans, we got Case Keenum"?
No way. Yeah, nope.
Yeah.
But I mean, you saw Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch last year, right? So
right. And good news is they traded Trevor Siemian to the Vikings today.
Yeah.
Yes. If you waited to pop the champagne, Broncos fans, pop it now. Trevor Siemian is gone.
Oh, finally. Well, he's gone from being a starter who was terrible to a backup who's going to be terrible. So There's no way he's playing over Cousins.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Drew Brees went back to the Saints on a 2-year, $50 million deal, getting paid at the end of his career, which is awesome. We all knew he was going to go back there, but that's a good check. But I want to talk about two teams in particular right now. And that's first, we're going to kick it off with the Bears. So let's go through the guys that they signed. Trey Burton to a 4-year, $32 million contract. Allen Robinson, 3-year, $42 million contract. They brought Cameron Meredith back for a 1-year deal and gave Taylor Gabriel a 4-year, $26 million contract. So Trey Burton, Allen Robinson, Cameron Meredith, and Taylor Gabriel. Well, like 3 weeks ago, we were talking about how they just need wide receivers. And look what happened.
They got him, these are all prove-it guys at this point, especially Allen Robinson. He just, he wasn't healthy last year. But aside from that, he just didn't look the same. Bortles has like 50 million wide receivers there, though. So hopefully this is going to mean more fantasy relevance again for Allen Robinson. I'm still a little bit on the fence, to be honest. I just don't, see him being a 1 as people are projecting. I see him maybe floating around it, a low end too.
Yeah, I think this is better news for the Bears as a team than it is for fantasy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they'll still need a year or two to get developed. I think you're not going to see the flash that Allen Robinson. I mean, the guy really hasn't produced for years, but I mean, he had one great season, looked to have high potential last year, but then got injured. I mean, so.
And it's a new offense, so he's, even though he has the whole year. But.
But it's going to be a big deal there. I mean, I just think that the Bears, I think they did the right thing. I think the Bears GM might actually be listening to our show, because we said get rid of John Fox. What happens? First thing he does, gets rid of John Fox, say you need receivers. They didn't even look at a running back. They didn't look at a lineman. They don't
need him. I mean, they have Howard. Howard and Cohen.
Let's talk about how the Bears should hire me for something.
Yes,
and that might come true.
And of course, they're gonna need to hire Money Max for something as well.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
he loves being a GM.
He certainly does.
Always, I fit in a suitcase. So,
well, this makes me more excited about Jordan Howard than anything.
Right, exactly.
Teams don't have to just put 8 or 9 guys in the box every single time and have him just try to power through. They didn't have these wide receivers and Trey Burton, who was great last year.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see him being bouncing back and being a 1, even though he didn't have a terrible year. He just got a lot taken away from him, but it's not like they didn't come out and say that they weren't going to come to do this even at the top of the year. So you just hope for him to have slightly more success, and I think we can see that this year.
See, and one thing I think about Trey Burton is he's going to be overdrafted next year. I think you're going to see him go, because he showed that great potential coming out of the gate this year with Philadelphia. But, you're talking about a brand-new system on a brand-new team. There's just a lot of brand news, and that typically doesn't do well for the tight end position.
Yeah, people are going to see what he did when he filled in for Ertz last year and expect him to be doing that every game with Trubisky.
Right. And you might even be looking at a philosophy that isn't high on the tight end. It's not John Fox anymore. John Fox loved the tight end.
Oh, and they've still got Adam Shaheen.
Right.
Yep. All right, well, anything else to add to the Bears here? I think that's all that they did, fantasy-wise anyway.
Right. Yep, nope, they shored up, man. They did exactly what they needed to do. They're in good shape for next year.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's move on to the team that has probably made the most amount of moves in, history over a span of 24 hours. And that's the 2018 Cleveland Browns. So they've done a whole bunch of stuff so far, and we're only going to hit the things that they did on offense. So kicking it off, this big trade, they traded their 4th-round pick this year and a 7th-round pick next year to Miami for Jarvis Landry.
Yep.
All right, so that gives them Landry, Josh Gordon, and Corey Coleman as their wide receiving core.
Mm-hmm. Pretty nice.
Could be worse, right? Yeah, quarterback could have worse options. And I'm sure Deshaun Kaiser was pretty pumped when he heard this news. And then he was traded to the Packers.
He gets front row seats to watch Aaron Rodgers.
He does, right. So he gets shipped out, and then 30 seconds later, another alert comes in that the Browns have traded a 3rd-round pick to Buffalo for Tyrod Taylor.
They're busy.
So they upgraded at quarterback. He's not a huge upgrade, but he is an upgrade. They tendered Josh Gordon as an exclusive rights free agent. They gave him a 1-year deal for $790,000, which is exactly what the Browns needed to do. That was smart. As an exclusive rights free agent, nobody else could sign him if the Browns offered him a contract. Why not make this guy who hasn't played a full season since 2013 have a prove-it deal?
Yep.
Yeah, I got into a little, not an argument, but like a discussion on our Facebook page with somebody about, they were saying like he's worth way more than that. I was like, then why doesn't he prove that he's worth more than that? He's only 26, He's still got plenty of time.
He's absolutely worth way more than that. But if you can get, but if you can get something that's worth $5 million for $800,000, you're crazy not to do it, right? You have to make this deal as the Cleveland Browns because this guy could potentially be worth a ton of money. I can understand like shoring him up for a long-term deal, but you could. They have some severe cap space in that Cleveland Browns organization, so you can still pay the guy down the road if he proves it. But $800,000 for a possible wide receiver 1, sign me up every time. It's almost like the Cleveland Browns are playing Madden GM right now, like with the cheat modes off. Like they're just getting away with everything.
Yeah, this is a very low-risk move on their part. If he gets suspended again, which, I've always wanted to believe Josh Gordon, right? Like, I truly believe that, he's put all that stuff behind him, but there's still that risk. But this is for $790,000. There's no risk for the Browns on this.
Right.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, that wasn't the last thing they did. Then they agreed to a 3-year contract with Carlos Hyde. So those Saquon Barkley dreams.
Yeah, right. I don't know. We were talking about that too. And what if they draft Saquon Barkley? Does that just completely eliminate the value of all 3 running backs minute?
There's no way they do that.
No, it's no way they do that now. They already have. They already have 2.
The price.
They have 2 RB1s right now. They have Duke Johnson was an RB1 borderline at least. He was the number 13 RB1 last year, or number 2, and then so was Carlos Hyde. So there's no need now. At this point, they just take their pick of the litter at quarterback, and just sit back and just they have Tyrod Taylor, to roll out their week 1. I know Hugh Jackson said that he didn't want to have his week 1 starter to be a rookie. So he has that. They have a beautiful plan right now going out for them. They just don't need to mess it up and be Browns like they used to do. But Dorsey is making beautiful moves. So hats off to these guys.
See, but they can draft Saquon Barkley and still have a decent pick at quarterback because they swing right back in the fourth.
But why would they grab Barkley? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you've got Hyde and Duke. You don't need Barkley.
Yeah, unless you're going to make a trade, unless you're trading Duke. You know, like I don't know.
You're assuming that they have to use Saquon Barkley every single player. I mean, they might decide that they want to bench him the majority of the first year and have him run under Carlos Hyde. Why doesn't it make sense? If you can get 3 RB1s, and this guy's essentially for free.
If I'm Saquon Barkley and I'm the first pick in the draft, and a team drafts me and tells me that, I'm not going to sign that rookie contract with them.
That's a possibility. I don't know. I could see him doing it.
It makes no sense.
Yeah,
he's going to end up a Giant, or if the Giants trade out of it, maybe the Giants get a crazy haul for that pick, and they just improve on their line. But at this point, I think Barkley's a Giant.
Yeah, he's going to either the 2 or the 3.
Yep.
Then Browns, once again, not done. They signed Darren Fells, tight end, to a 3-year contract. And Fells, not really a fantasy tight end, but he's a really good run-blocking tight end.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, so this improves their run.
Yeah, this is just great.
Yep.
Just great. Well, that was really the biggest signings of today. But so let's go ahead and get into just some of the teams that also signed some other guys. So going in alphabetical order, kicking it off with the Arizona Cardinals. Sam Bradford, $20 million contract start for the Arizona Cardinals next year. They also agreed to a contract with Mike Glennon, who was released from the Bears. But Bradford, once again, getting a huge payday with the new team.
That's all he does is get paid. That's all he does is get paid.
Yeah, like we always talk about how, I'm glad this dude finally got his money. We don't get that feeling with Bradford.
He always gets paid.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those, he finally earned his money.
I hope so. He is a really good system. I mean, he's got David Johnson. This should be pretty neat to watch. I like it. I like it a lot.
Now, there was a news report that said that they want to get Ricky Seals-Jones a lot more involved this year, which, coach speak in March.
Right.
So it's still a long way away. But if you had to make a call right now, does Larry Fitzgerald play in 2018?
Yes.
Yes.
I agree. Baltimore Ravens, only move that they made that was fantasy relevant, or the only signing was that they signed John Brown, who was a free agent from the Arizona Cardinals, and that means that their wide receiver core is still terrible.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you just look up at all these just huge deals, and Baltimore's just crickets going on. And I mean, John Brown, that's good. You got another Jeremy Maclin. I mean, you got another guy that can have that 1 or 2 good games, and that's about it,
Well, yeah, he just haven't shown it. He's had potential, but ever since his, sickle cell trait thing, he just never seemed to hit his potential. So, it's just, I think, it's a little bit too late for the John Brown love. I don't really see him being much of a fantasy relevant player, even though he's probably going to be at this point they haven't really added much. So I mean, somebody's got to catch a ball.
Yeah, it's going to be John Brown, Rashad Perryman, and Chris Moore. So yeah, I'm going to be contributing. I'm probably the best wide receiver on the Ravens now.
Yeah, I think
you have the best upside.
I got 3 touchdowns last year. So
that's true.
That's 3 more than you guys got.
Yeah, fact. I got more rushing yards than Phillip Rivers.
So did that.
Well, for those of you listening, my name is also Chris Moore. So in case you guys didn't know. Buffalo Bills, they signed A.J. McCarron to a 2-year deal. So he's finally gotten a job, and I think he's going to immediately start there.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. People are hot after him.
Throwing to Kelvin Benjamin and then Jordan Matthews, Zay Jones.
Clay. Yeah.
Charles Clay. Yeah. He's not stepping into a terrible situation. I just don't think A.J. McCarron's that good.
Well, a lot of people are hot after him, so I mean, he's going to have opportunity to either win or lose his job. I think they're still going to add pieces. I think they're at this point they've been moving up. I think it's likely that they still grab a quarterback, but A.J. McCarron's going to be there to test them. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I don't think A.J. McCarron is necessarily the answer, but I think he's definitely a good backup, and if he has to be the quarterback,
it's not a bad option.
I think Buffalo really needs to shore up their line if they're going to have this type of a quarterback. I mean, the thing that made their offense even workable was the fact that Tyrod Taylor could run out of jams and move the ball around and everything like that, and that's just something McCarron doesn't really bring. I watched this guy a lot when he was in college. I like his arm a lot. I just don't know if this is going to be a real good fit to start things out unless they get some offensive line help. They got to give this guy some time to develop with this team, or to develop on a play even. I mean, you've got to give this guy probably 5 to 7 seconds, whereas Tyrod Taylor, he could buy that with his legs. You're not going to get that with this guy.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But yeah, I definitely
seconds,
see them grabbing. I definitely see them grabbing another quarterback.
7 seconds. You give my grandma 7 seconds. That's a long time.
That is a very long time.
Carolina Panthers made a trade for Torrey Smith, so getting some of that speed back. Not super exciting, but,
not at all.
Getting another landing spot there. Green Bay Packers. This is one that I'm really trying to caution people against making the same mistake again. Signed Jimmy Graham to a 3-year deal, so good for him. Still getting his money. Please, please, please do not overreact to this. We saw it. Oh, Jared Cook. He's never had a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. Martellus Bennett. He's never, Aaron Rodgers has never had a tight end like Martellus Bennett, so he's going to be great, even though Rodgers does not use his tight ends.
No, he never has. And
no.
It's, unless you want to go back then, to when, what was it, what's his name? Finley? What was it? Not Finley.
Jermichael Finley?
Yeah, Finley. But other than that, I mean, he just never really uses this guy. Now that Jordy's not there, maybe he's just like a strictly red zone guy. So, I mean, I could see him, grabbing maybe like 8 touchdowns. Other than that, not so many receptions. He's going to be one of those probably tight end ones, but probably like a lower end.
See, and I feel like these two guys' personalities might really click, and they might have a good chemistry on the field. I can see it potentially happening anyways. I'm with you, Chris. He doesn't really ever use his tight ends regardless of who it is. And I'm not going to be the first guy to say this, and there's going to be plenty of people that say this. It's Jimmy Graham. I mean, the guy kind of forces himself the ball. But, yeah, I'm not too excited about this. I think this is going to be kind of a watch and see thing. But I think if you don't draft him, you're going to probably regret it. I think they're actually going to have a decent year next year.
I think if you take Jimmy Graham in the 5th round, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah,
no,
crazy.
that's too high. Because
I'm saying 10th plus.
Guys, yeah.
I think his ADP is going to be closer to between 5 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I
think 8 would be appropriate, but I don't think he'll be there.
Yeah.
Nope. Which means I likely won't have Jimmy Graham on many teams. Basically, not because he's bad, not because Rodgers is bad, just Rodgers doesn't use them. So keep that in mind when you guys are going through draft season. Think back to the March 14th episode that you listened way back in March when you're getting ready to do your fantasy football draft. And remember that. Jacksonville Jaguars made a couple moves. They lost Allen Robinson to free agency, but they signed Marquise Lee to a 4-year, $38 million contract. And they also brought in Dante Moncrief, a 1-year, $10 million deal. So a prove-it deal for Moncrief, but $10 million, I feel like that's pretty hefty.
Yeah, that's a good payday, for what the guy produced in Indianapolis. I think you're pretty happy if you're him. I don't think he's going to be awful relevant next year, but who knows? I mean, he's got a lot of talent. He's really fast. He can break out pretty quick. I do like Dante Moncrief, but I just don't know about this situation. I like Marquise Lee getting paid, though.
Moncrief can also just break pretty quick, too.
Yeah, Moncrief's another, he's another one of those guys like a John Brown. Yeah, he's just had potential and just hasn't really shown, hasn't just stayed on the field and hasn't connected with the quarterbacks. So maybe there's a bounce back for him. I just don't see it at this point. Lee though, I think he's definitely going to be relevant again next year.
Yeah, one thing that just keeps steering me away from Dante Moncrief, and he does deserve to play in the NFL. He's still a good wide receiver.
Oh yeah,
100%. He's healthy.
Yeah.
But also with Dede and Keelan Cole there as well.
Right.
They have too many options.
Right. If you had to pick one guy, regardless of round or who's, I know you like to bring up value every other sentence, but regardless of round or value, if you had to pick one Jacksonville Jaguar wide receiver to have on your team this season, who would it be?
Probably Lee.
I agree.
Yep, I would say the same thing. They also signed Niles Paul to a 2-year deal. He is known as a blocking tight end for the most part, but, who else? They're not going to keep using Mercedes Lewis forever.
No. Yeah, I mean, they just have so many options.
Yeah,
so many options.
They do.
Too many.
But they're not good options.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bortles always
options.
seems to get it done. It's not pretty, but he gets it done, and he's he's helped you out in the fantasy playoffs.
He doesn't get it done with the tight end though.
No, not at all. No, not at all. Well, he did a couple times with Lewis this year.
Oh, that one
nothing.
stupid fluke game. Was that the very first game of the season where he caught 3 touchdowns?
I think he had. I think he actually had like a couple of touchdown games. Actually,
Yeah,
wasn't
he had
a
another
lot.
game where he had 2.
Yeah, but it might have just been one other one where he had. But if I'm not mistaken, I know he had at least one other game where he caught touchdowns, and it was like, oh, okay, well maybe you can start him. But I still didn't believe in him.
No.
No,
not at all. Another tight end here, the Los Angeles Chargers added to their list of tight ends with Virgil Green on a 3-year deal.
Look out, Hunter Henry.
Yep.
Just kidding. It's not going to affect him. Hunter
Look out.
Henry's still going to be the guy there.
Yep, I agree.
Virgil Green.
Was Virgil Green more of a blocking guy in Denver, Mike?
Everybody was more of a blocking guy in Denver. it was just you can't really base it off of that because he had Simeon throwing to him. I mean, it was just that bad. I mean, it was that bad that it's hard to say. Hard to say what this guy's capable of.
Sorry you had to go through that, Mike.
Yeah, it's the memories. Memories?
It's been rough. Miami Dolphins, after trading away Jarvis Landry, they signed Danny Amendola, a 3-year, $24 million contract, and Albert Wilson, who was on the Chiefs the last couple of years, is a free agent, 2-year, $12 million deal. So this tells me that they believe in Devontae Parker about as much as I did.
Right.
Nah, man, these guys, that's Wilson is Landry light talking about.
Yeah, I like Albert Wilson. I actually liked his involvement latter end of the season. I think he'll be pretty good fit in Miami. I think
he'll be all right, though.
Amendola going over there. Look for some revenge games against the Patriots.
Yeah, I think Stills and Parker are still going to be the guys here. And then maybe, they're going to squeeze in Amendola or Wilson. And
I've never been on the Devontae Parker hype train, and
I
still can't do it.
I don't like him.
I got on it for a minute last year. I mean, it was a couple minutes where I was like, this guy's actually probably, but he just you never saw that connection and that.
You know what? They really should have traded him because there was so much hype around him. They could have traded him, and probably got something more relevant, like something that'll help him more. But I just don't believe in the guy. I wish he'll come out and prove me wrong. But you guys know I live out here in Florida, and I see I see a lot of the games, and he just never really excited me, from what I've seen. So I don't know.
I tell you, I'd rather have Amendola.
Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely more excited about Amendola as a number 3. If we're gonna say it's what are we still projecting the other two to be, Stills and then I guess they're still believing in Parker. So
yeah, I don't think Parker's going to be the number 1.
I don't think so either. I think it'll go Stills, then probably Amendola. I bet that's the way it develops for the season.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
I can definitely see
Stills
that.
had something to prove, it seemed, man.
Yeah.
He seemed like he wanted it last year.
Yeah, Stills was still another useful receiver for another year in a row. He wasn't, going to win you a championship or anything, but he could definitely help you out throughout the season.
All right, moving on to the New England Patriots. They brought back Rex Burkhead on a 3-year deal after he killed it for him last year.
Yeah, Burkhead
he did really good towards the end of the season. I mean, he was just good all around. He fit into that offense well. Deion Lewis is gone, so one less peg in the puzzle.
Yeah, this is great for him. Assuming they don't add anybody else, he's perfectly fine being drafted top 3 or 4 rounds maybe.
Yeah, I mean, especially in PPR leagues, the guy just was a beast. Double digits for you pretty much every week when he was healthy.
Yeah.
Although we do have to throw it out there that it is March, and by this time in about 6 months, they'll probably have 12 running backs.
Yep. Very possible. Very possible. New York
100%.
Giants brought Jonathan Stewart back from the crypt. 2-year, $6.9 million deal. So no Saquon Barkley. They found their Saquon already.
Yeah. We don't need
That's why I
him,
was
right?
saying that the Browns are going to get him, because who else needs him?
The Colts dropped to number 3. I mean, they need other needs more, but come on.
Right. That's an auto sign if he's there.
Yep. So Jonathan Stewart, I'm assuming he will get thrust right into the starting role
Why would you assume that?
because he's better than Gallman and Vereen and
Well, you don't think they're going
Paul
to draft
Perkins.
a running back, be it if it's not Barkley or Juice or like that? I don't know.
I have
don't
no
see-
idea what they're going to do.
I don't see. Well, I'm saying if you were going to guess at this point, you don't think that they would draft. You think they'd be fine with Stewart?
I think that they're not going to compete anyway, so maybe Stewart's just sort of a stopgap.
They're not going to compete.
No, I don't. Do you really think the Giants are making the playoffs this year?
Why wouldn't they?
Why would they?
Why wouldn't they? It's the National Football League.
Oh, I'm calling it right now. The Giants are not making the playoffs.
Yeah,
All right.
I
Nope.
agree.
What do you want to
No,
bet?
not making the playoffs.
I bet.
I just think there's other needs.
I'll put up. I'll put up something. for
All
that.
right. There's just
We'll
other
decide
needs
it
that they
later.
need to address before
We'll
Eli
decide it later.
retires.
Did you just say you'll wear a dress? Because I think that's a good bet.
No,
That
I
was
said
wishful.
they have other needs they need to address.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. The other New York team, I guess I should say the other New Jersey team, New York Jets, made a couple moves today. They brought Josh McCown back, 1 year, $10 million deal, and brought in Teddy Bridgewater. I'm assuming to either compete for that job or just to have just in case McCown gets hurt yet again. Bridgewater, 1 year, $5 million deal. I don't think McCown's ever finished a full season.
Well, he's one of those old guys. It's just at this point, he's a second coach on the field, or not on the field. Yeah, on the field, on the bench. You know, that's pretty much what he is.
And the Jets also signed Isaiah Crowell today, a 3 year, $12 million deal, which, finally people will stop being on the Bilal Powell train, maybe.
Yeah, and Forte's likely retiring.
He is retiring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did he come out and say it already?
He did.
Oh, okay.
So I'm glad I got that selfie with him at Mall of America.
Oh, yeah. That was
Heck
super
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, which, I mean, for those of you listening, you didn't see the picture. He was in the Nike store walking around, stopping for photographs, pretending to look at shoes and stuff. But
Pretending to look at shoes.
I think that's what he was doing, just acting like he was shopping at the Nike
He
store.
didn't really need shoes.
No, I got a
Gets
selfie
them for free.
with him in the background. He didn't know I was taking it. So I didn't get one with him, but he's in it.
It was
So it's kind of funny. But yeah, so Isaiah Crowell, obviously we're not going to hype him up like we did last year, right? He's not going to this team with his top 5 offensive line and, he was top 15 the year before, blah, blah, blah. He's not third round pick, right?
He shouldn't be, but I
Where-
mean, he still has potential. I mean, not a third round pick, but he'd still be a starter.
Right. Yeah. He or maybe at least a flex or bye week fill in. If you had to make a call right now, Mike, what round would you take him in?
5th? I don't think I'd go any earlier than that.
Who's?
Yeah, that's too high for me.
Yeah, same here.
Probably say maybe like a 9, 10.
See, but you're going to be out of running backs by then. I think this year's draft is going to be running back bonanza.
I think there's still going to be just a bunch of guys that you could still pick that's going to have those potential in those other rounds that'll still be there.
In the 9th round? I don't think so. I'm thinking maybe into the 6th.
I don't know.
Yeah,
There's
5,
sometimes
6.
those rookie guys, or that you're just that's sneaky, or those guys that just last year, you never know, that might have higher upside. Crowell, I mean, yeah, he's going to be a flex, but I think at that point you're just grabbing higher upside guys earlier at that point. I don't think that's too late unless you're it's like a 14 round or something.
I think Hoos just came up with our new Sleeper Wire slogan. You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
You truly never know. It's fantasy football,
Yeah.
You have to speculate.
The only accuracy we have in fantasy football is hindsight when we know what happened.
Steve said
Which is
Crowell
awesome.
plus Powell is Crowell.
Pro Powell.
Crowell.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of funny. Anyways, moving on to the San Francisco 49ers. They gave a 4-year, $30 million contract to Jerick McKinnon. So big payday by him. He earned it. He played really well this year.
Yeah,
really well.
And I love it. I want to see this guy get the soul work in this backfield. I think he'll do great things. It's a really good offense with a Kyle Shanahan led style. I love it. I love this move.
Yeah, and I think it was a pretty good deal. Also, kind of set the tone, I think, as well.
Yeah, Carlos Hyde was actually really good in PPR last year, and maybe not so much once Garoppolo got there. He had most of his catches before that,
right?
But Jerick McKinnon, he's going to have a big year, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's going to be highly involved in that offense.
Yeah, I think he fits that style way better, 100% better than what Carlos Hyde does.
Yeah, that one's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So, would you rather have Crowell or McKinnon next year?
Oh,
McKinnon,
100%.
What about in a standard?
Regardless,
you think McKinnon's going to stay the starter and not be third down kind of guy?
No, I think he's the starter.
Okay, interesting. I'm still not convinced.
I agree.
I don't think they're paying them that kind of money and not having him start.
Well, I see it more like the Deion Lewis thing.
Well, even Deion Lewis, I mean, but there's nobody else there, that's challenging, that's really challenging him, other than what was it, the rookie last year that didn't really look that great. So
Joe Williams.
Yeah, Joe Williams. So I mean, they'll probably add other pieces more than likely, but at this point, what they're paying him, I think they're paying him to be a every down back.
Well, and they've still got Matt Breida there too, but yeah, you're right. If everything stays the same, he is the starter. All right, just last couple teams here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, surprising move, gave Cameron Brate a 6-year, $41 million contract before free agency opened. I do too, but why would you draft a tight end? And O.J. Howard was a first-round pick, right?
I believe so.
Then why would you draft a guy at the first-round pick and then give your already great tight end a 6-year deal? It just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, Brate was just, Brate was great.
Don't get me wrong. No. Don't get me wrong. Brate earned this money.
Yeah, he definitely did. I mean, scored touchdowns pretty much every game when he was healthy and when Winston was healthy. He just seemed to have the better connection. O.J. Howard seems to be a supplemental piece out there. He's kind of like a wide receiver, if anything. Not really like a traditional tight end. So, I don't know. It's not a bad idea for Winston to have two tight ends. This is just, I think they're just thinking about their quarterback.
Maybe we'll start seeing a lot of two tight end sets out of Tampa.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what they're definitely planning.
Do you think they're going to maybe add a wide receiver in free agency?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like Godwin. I think they do as well. A lot of people in the fantasy community, a lot of respected people like him as well. So I don't know if they will. It's at this point, I don't think they need to. They could just kind of continue to add through the draft and maybe add just kind of veteran guys, but I don't see them going after anyone huge. I mean, I see Evans in for a big bounce back year.
Yeah, he got paid, man.
Yeah,
$55 million guaranteed. What about running back though?
Now they're
in need.
They're in big need right now.
AP, Woodhead, Rawls, Mike Davis.
I think Mike Davis too. I think Mike Davis over there would actually crush it. I think that would probably be their best bet.
I'd say probably Woodhead, if anything.
Well, who still is in love with Peyton Barber?
Yeah, I love Peyton Barber as well. So, I mean, if they do nothing.
I'm over here hosting the show acting like Barber's not even there.
Peyton Barber.
Yeah, if they don't do anything, Peyton Barber's going to be great.
I think he will be serviceable.
Well, if you look at his numbers, he was more than serviceable.
Really?
Yeah, really. When he was,
right.
If you look at his numbers, when he got the work, he was more than serviceable when he got the work.
Yeah, 23 for 102 in one game, but then 12 for 58, 13 for 53,
12 for 58. Yeah, that's 12 for 58. That's 58 yards. 12. He didn't get the work. That's 12 for 58. That's still pretty good. 13 for 53. 13 for 51. 17 for 71 and a touchdown. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, are you like, well, at least my guy was on a good pace to have a great day?
Well, I mean, they didn't use him. They didn't use him like they should have. They were still integrating in Doug Martin. I mean, if they give him the starting role, then he's going to look, this is his third year coming. He's coming into his third year. So if they give him an opportunity, then he's shown he can be more than serviceable. I don't think mini backs are giving you these numbers. You know, I don't know. They're not blown out, you know, wowing you because they didn't give him more. They didn't give him more work.
I don't know. 11 for 34, 2 for -2, 5 for 7.
I mean, that was that's at New Orleans when they were a really great defensive team last year. I mean, come on, they were top what 3 last year in defense, top 2.
Well, you could also make the argument that 12 for 58 was against Detroit.
Yeah, exactly.
Their defense wasn't great.
It was pretty good. What do you mean?
Anyways, too much Peyton Barber. Screw that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll argue for Peyton Barber all day.
Yeah, I know. That was never going to end. Man,
Yeah.
if we do like a Chris Thompson versus Peyton Barber great debate, that will just...
You know, I called Peyton Barber. The guy's going to be a stud. Call him. If they don't add anything.
All right, moving on to our last team here. Washington Redskins, last bit of news. They brought in Paul Richardson, a 5-year deal for $40 million.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I mean, he's good, but I don't think he's worth that kind of money. But I guess, I mean, maybe the scout saw something in him that I'm not seeing.
I like Paul Richardson. I mean, he's just been another piece in the offense. He hasn't really had. I mean, he's produced when, you know, as a supplemental piece. You know,
Yeah, Paul Richardson.
Yeah,
He's really good.
yeah.
He's
a
got
burner.
great hands. He's got great speed. That's a really good
Burner.
combination. He just hasn't had all the targets in the world
Right.
to make him that fantasy relevant. Now, he was more fantasy relevant this year than he had been in the past, but this is a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, I don't know. Alex Smith throwing him the ball. I'm not really excited about that. I mean,
Paul Richardson's almost as fast as Tyreek Hill.
Hey, but Tyreek Hill really just brought that other dynamic. I don't know. He's just an other level receiver, and I just don't think that Paul Richardson's there. And I just don't know. I'm not excited about Alex Smith-led offense. I just can't. I know he did awesome last year, but on a contract year, of course, you know. I mean, there's a lot of things about him in his past that I just haven't liked. I mean, we're talking about fantasy. I think that'll be a good offense. I think they'll win games. I think their defense will keep them in games. But I just don't see him being a high-scoring, high-octane offense.
Yeah, I think Chris Thompson's going to be his guy. He's going to be his favorite weapon.
Yeah.
Any excuse to get him in there, man.
No, legit though. I think
shows
that's.
with Hus until Chris.
I think
Thompson's
that's
not in the NFL
no.
anymore.
Seriously, I'm not trying to talk about Chris Thompson. I just think, given Alex Smith, you know, Chris Thompson seems like the option for him.
Yeah, I actually do like this. So Paul Richardson, he steps in with Josh Doxson and Jamison Crowder. Which one of those guys do you like the most?
Seeing out of that said, I like Paul Richardson the best.
And keep in mind that they're all going to have a new quarterback.
Probably Crowder.
Right.
See, I lean towards Richardson as well.
I just think Crowder for Smith's skill set.
Yeah, I like it. He's a good slot guy. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for the show today. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at SleeperWire Show. Check out our website at sleeperwire.com. You can also go and check out our new Facebook group. We got it up, and it is already popping. Catch us on Twitter at Seymour Sleeperwire, at SleeperWire Hus, and at Dr. Kane21. On SleeperBot at Professor Chris, Prophet Hus, and Dirty Jobs. And then on Fantasy Life app at Professor Chris, Hus the Prophet, and Dirty Jobs there as well. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Take it easy.
We lit!